Good morning. Welcome to our presentation where we go over the Q4 results and the full year of 2023. My name is Birgir Jónsson and I'm the CEO of PLAY. And joining me today is Ólafur Þór Jóhannsson, who is our CFO, and we will take you through our financial results and some key issues in our business. We look at our operation and our business at a glance in Q4. We transported about 376,000 passengers. Our load factor was 78%. It was slightly lower than we had hoped for. It was negatively impacted by seismic activity, or I should rather say very inaccurate news coverage of the seismic activity here in Iceland in November and December. You will hear this term often in this presentation, so you better get used to it. This is a big factor in our business. Our on-time performance was 78.4%, and again also below our expectation. It was also negatively impacted by the same reasons. We operated 10 aircraft, 33 destinations, and our split of passengers were the following. Via passengers were 42%, from passengers, people traveling from Iceland, 26% of our passengers, and to passengers, people coming to Iceland, 32%. Going into the full year, we doubled our passenger number to 1.5 million passengers. Our load factor was 83.4%, and again, slightly lower than we had hoped for. We were aiming for and heading towards about 86% before the negative impact of the seismic activities. On-time performance, 83.2% in the year, 38 destinations in the full year, some of them seasonal, so they come in and out of the network. And the split of passengers were via passenger 41%, from passengers 27%, and to passengers 32%. 2023 was a year of immense growth for PLAY. The company really matured and came into its own, I would say. We had about 52% increase of our number of destinations, 92% increase of our passenger, like I just mentioned. Available seat kilometers or our ASK went up nearly 90%. Our revenue doubled in the year. We saw a decrease in our unit cost, and this is something that we are all here extremely proud of and have worked tirelessly to achieve, and a big achievement for us. At the same time, we managed to increase our revenue by 7%, or the TRASK, the total revenue per available seat kilometer, went up to 10 aircraft, and saw our ancillary revenue on a yearly basis grow nearly 30%. And this is, of course, the driver for our profitability and the success of our business. If I try to sum up the trend in the business and the financial results, and Oli will, of course, go through it in more detail later, we can see that we doubled our turnover in the year. At the same time, we halved our EBIT loss in the year, the operational loss. It's no secret that this is under our expectations. We had reported in, I think, the end of summer that we were heading for a acceptable financial result. In the Q4, like I have mentioned, we saw some very challenging external factors come into play. We saw some crisis in the Middle East. We saw the seismic activity, and again, not only the seismic activity itself, but the coverage, the global coverage of it, which was very damaging to the demand for Iceland as a destination. And I think most of the tourism industry in Iceland felt that and is still feeling that, actually. And then in the run-up to Christmas, the all-important Christmas season, we saw a strike of the air traffic controllers at the absolute worst time. And that really impacted our business also and created a lot of cost and inconvenience to us and our passengers. Having said that, we are still seeing this trend, which we are very proud of and gives us a lot of encouragement into the future, where we see our operational loss really decreasing as the company and the airline gets into scale. We managed to decrease our unit cost, or CASK excluding fuel, by 6% in the year. And that's a massive achievement, because we see most of our competitors, and for example, a local competitor here in Iceland, seeing the exact opposite. Their cost is going up, our cost is going down. So this is a very, very critical thing. If you want to win market and be comfortable at a lower price point, you have to be able to offer the best fares, and you can do that if you have the lowest cost. At the same time, we see our margin, or basically the RASK, or the total revenue that we're generating, also increasing very, very significantly. So this is an extremely good cocktail, a very tasty cocktail, I would say, and something that we look towards in the future to give us a lot of success. We're always talking about the ancillary revenue, and we have been very successful in raising that and basically offering our passengers various services and products that enhance their life and their trip, and of course give us greater revenue and profits in the process. Just to mention a few new things that we launched last year and were instrumental in giving us this increased revenue is, of course, the bundles that we have mentioned on many occasions, which we launched in February, and they were really instrumental in driving our ancillary revenue up. And now, a year later, we have become better, and our team, our ancillary team, is getting very good at dynamically pricing the bundles and playing with them in our system, so that we are generating very good revenue from them, actually. I want to mention a few other things. Uplift is a thing that we're offering in the States to begin with, and is being launched in Europe in the near term. And this is a kind of a buy now, pay later product. So our passengers can basically buy their seats or fares, and they can then decide how they want to pay it and divide the payments over X many months to their convenience. What it means is that those passengers in general buy more expensive seats, and they add more ancillary products onto their booking because they can pay it over a longer period of time. And we're really seeing this working for us. Another thing is the space seats that we have also mentioned in these presentations before. This has like a win-win effect on us because we have a few rows in a few of our larger aircraft, the 321s, where we have blocked the middle seat, and our passengers can basically choose to travel alone without a neighbor at a cost, of course. And this also gives us a benefit in the low season that we are in effect reducing the seat count in the aircraft without having to remove the seats, and they're basically going from 214 seats to 200 per aircraft, reducing crew cost and various other costs in the low season. Easy to take it out, and we're back to full capacity if we choose to do so. Another very exciting product that is really coming into its own here in our system is dynamic packages that we're offering in cooperation with lastminute.com, where our passengers can basically decide when they're traveling, and the system or lastminute.com offers them tailor-made accommodation, car rentals, various activities and things like that, and really bundles it up in a flight and kind of a dynamic, all-inclusive, so to speak, package. And this is a great partnership and something we look really forward to developing more into the future. We're always talking about on-time performance. This is something that we pride ourselves on, and punctuality is of course very important to our customers. People want to get to the destinations on time. They want to do something else. They want to have connecting flights or basically begin to do something more fun than sitting in an aircraft, as fun as that is. It's also, as I've often mentioned in these things, it's also a very good metric on how well our operation is running, because we are not running into delays. We don't have to offer or pay passengers damages or penalties. The higher the punctuality and the on-time performance, the better the operation is running. And we pride ourselves of having one of the highest on-time performers actually in the world. I want to point out the on-time performance in December, and we are here mirroring our performance to our main competitor here in Iceland, and how better we are and how more punctual we are basically than they are. In December, and this is mostly to do with the ATC strike, the strike of the air traffic controllers. Of course, our punctuality went down, but what really happened is that our operational team absolutely created some kind of a miracle is that they managed to move our connecting bank out of the period per day where the air traffic controllers were in a strike, making sure that our passengers got to their destination in time before Christmas. Everyone knew with some time in advance that their flight would be delayed or had a new time. We got unbelievable amount of grateful communication and messages from our passengers, because you really want to get your destinations before Christmas. You're meeting your family, your loved ones, and this was a great thing. Statistics went down, passenger, let's say satisfaction, customer satisfaction really skyrocketed along with our Christmas spirit here at Play. These were really difficult days, but you had really a nice feeling in your heart because we're really doing something nice for our customers. We're also launching a lot of new destinations. There were about 16 new destinations we added in the year. We mentioned some of them here. Athens was a new thing here in the Icelandic market. Porto, Toronto, Hamilton, another airport that has been functioning really well for us, and a lot of other nice and cool places. And it's always good to offer the market new possibilities and new products and new destinations. We have been very busy at winning awards, and I wanted to basically sum up a few of them that we collected last year. We had the youngest fleet in Europe for the second year running, 2023 and 2024, which is something that we're proud of and gives our passengers great experience, and also increases our operational reliability and basically our network, going back to our on-time performance also. And I will never stop to be proud of our crew by winning the USA Today Best Crew by the readers of USA Today. That was a massive honor, and I'm always going to say a huge surprise. It was not a surprise because we have a great crew, but this is a big world, and there's some of the biggest airlines in the world were in competition, competing against us, and it was unbelievable. And I was so proud when our crew won this. And then also when we were selected by passengers as the best low-cost airline in Northern Europe. That's really something for an airline that is very new on the market, and something that gives us a lot of encouragement into the future. This is a very interesting graph. It basically shows you what happened to searches for Iceland when the news of the seismic activity hit the global media in November. So we had seen before that searches for Iceland in Skyscanner were about 20% up from the year before. And you can see there in November, they went down 5% from the year before. So basically collapsed. Grew a little bit and then back down again. Of course, they're building back up, but this basically shows you in a very graphic manner that the market is so dynamic. And if something happens, it can be negative news coverage of the destination, nature, doing something like we're seeing now these days also. Negative things about like the strike, or people are Googling and they're seeing there's some problem with the destination. The demand simply dries up, and when you lose a few weeks in bookings, you see it a few weeks later. So it's not like that week is bad. It becomes like a chain reaction, and this is the problem that we are dealing with, and probably most of the Icelandic tourism industry, and we need to kind of deal with. Going back to our ancillary revenue, and I've often said in these presentations that this is something that we're always trying to increase, and this we can increase it by investing in technology, because this is basically our booking engine, how we talk to our passengers once they've booked, how we use our data. Basically, are we offering our passengers the product and the services that they want to buy and need to buy at the right point in time in their customer journey? And that's all about data. And we have been very good in investing in that, and have looked at this as one of our strategic things that we want to use to get good results. And it's interesting to see our performance when you benchmark it against some known airlines, and I can only just tell you that we're only just beginning. This is just the beginning of our journey. We're just now coming into our own and getting control of our platform, and there will be more growth in this sector and in this revenue stream. Having said that, I want to invite Ólafur Þór, our CFO, to come and talk to you about our financial results, and then I will come again and talk to you about the outlook and some other fun things.
Thank you, Birgir. Let's go to the full year 2023 results of Play. We had total revenues 282 million, which doubled between years from 2022. We had negative EBIT of 21 million, which is an improvement of 23 million year on year. Cash position of 22 million, 3.7 cents ex-fuel CASK, which is 6% decrease from previous year, which we are very proud of, as Birgir mentioned here before. And our net income for the full year was minus 35.1 million. To the quarters, the total revenue of fourth quarter 23 was 65.7 million compared to 38 million for the same quarter last year. That was driven mainly by increased capacity because we had 10 aircraft in operation during 24 compared to 6 aircraft in the last year. The financial performance or the EBIT performance, we made some restatement on definitions some definitions clauses in IFRS 16 regarding calculation and definition of delivery clauses, which affected the balance sheet at end of 2022. We restated the balance sheet for the year, and it resulted in 2 million lower depreciation expenses during the year 23 and higher interest rate expenses for the same period. In other way, the fourth quarter was negatively impacted by the seismic activities and the ATC strikes during the quarter, but the results, the improvement of US dollars 23 million full year on year, we are of course happy about that, despite that we were behind our initial forecast for the period. The cash position was 14 million lower at the end of 23 than it was at end of 22, and as you can see, there are seasonal fluctuations in the cash position throughout the year. It peaks in the second quarter of the year, but went down to 22 million at year end. And the main reason behind that was the seismic activities, as well as the forward booking that slowed down significantly in the last weeks of the year. Ancillary revenue was considerably higher than last year and was up 152% full year on year, and that was the main reason behind that. We had significantly higher revenue for both for the fourth quarter as well as for the full year compared to last year. Like I said before, we had improvement of 23 million in the EBIT. The EBIT for the quarter was 17.6, and at a very similar level to the same quarter last year. The financial income and expenses and the depreciation and amortization were explained by, or the higher expenses were mainly explained by a more number of aircraft in our balance sheet from the periods. The net result for the period was minus 35.1 compared to 48 million last year. And as you can see, the numbers for 2022 are restated numbers, as I mentioned before. In the fourth quarter 23, we had 11% increase in total yield per passengers compared to the same quarter last year. Despite the lower demand in the fourth quarter, largely influenced by seismic activity, we had a little bit lower airfares during that period compared to last year, but the total, we were 11% up between years, and for the full year, year on year, we were $5 up between years. And that is the main reason behind that. The TRASK increased by 7% between years from 4.3 to 4.6 for the fourth quarter of 23. The operating expenses, the fourth quarter was impacted by seasonal cost that was higher than in the same quarter last year, and that is the main cause of higher ex-fuel CASK between quarters from 3.9 to 4, and that was mainly due to some events, as you can say, in the quarter. We had a significantly higher de-icing cost, we had maintenance, we had the ATC strike, and other items that caused the cost increase between the quarters. But despite that, for the full year, we are extremely proud of that. We had 6.2% lower year-on-year CASK expenses, and that is very different from other airlines that are normally presenting higher unit cost between 22 and 23. The balance sheet, the total assets increased by 56 million between years. The main reason were the two new aircraft we added to the fleet during the year. As I mentioned before, the restated amounts in the balance sheet, the total asset increased by 84 million in 2022, the total liabilities by 86, and the equity was negatively affected by 2 million due to the restatement from the previous year. But we are now seeing the total assets of 461 million. The liabilities are mainly due to the lease and provisions liabilities, and I want to point out that provisions were total 96 million, and that amount represent the net present value of unsettled future maintenance, because we are paying monthly payments to cover future maintenance. I will come to that in more detail in next slide regarding the cash flow here. With the total negative cash from operation during the full year was 1.7 million. Thereof, we paid repayment of lease liabilities and maintenance reserves, total 55.7 million during the year. This amount can be split up into two items, that is the rental part, 36.6, and the maintenance part, 19.1. We are monthly paying for future maintenance work, and the total prepayments until now for this work is total $30 million. Many airline companies do not pay monthly these payments, and therefore on a major maintenance events, they have to pay cash out for the maintenance, but we do not have to do so in the same manner, and that is different. That is, it can be said, if we were not paying these monthly payments every month, our cash position were 30 million higher than we are presenting in our accounts. The closing balance for the year was total 22 million, thereof was restricted cash by 9 million. The fuel price development and fuel hedging, as you can see on the right side, the hedge position is helping us smoothing out extreme fluctuation in market price, and the total impacts for the full year was very close to zero of the hedge, as you can say, hedge operation. It's as we often say here in play, it's a zero-sum game. We are not getting profit, and we are not losing from our hedge position. And the fuel hedging, the current position of the fuel hedge, as you can see in for the next quarters, we have hedged 36 of estimated consumption in the second quarter of the year, 23% in the third quarter, and so on, and on a price that can be seen here, 854, 833, and 824 for the fourth quarter. And the current spot price now is very close to 900. So that is all from me, and over to you again, Birgir.
Thank you, Ólafur. I'm going to explain a little bit about the outlook and some things that we use to measure how the future is going to look here at play. This is a slide that shows you the increasing capacity and how we have been able to increase our revenue at the same time. And you can see in the quarter 4 in 23 and quarter 1 in 24 that we were quite heavily impacted by the fact that, or what I have mentioned a few times in this presentation, the basically loss of demand for Iceland in the short term. And that meant that we were not able to yield as much as we would have wanted. We needed to demand or stimulate demand with lower prices. So we were increasing capacity and not able to increase our fares or basically utilize our revenue strategy as much as we would have wanted. However, when we're getting closer to spring and into quarter 2, this is beginning to change quite dramatically. So even though in quarter 2 we are increasing our capacity by 21%, we are already now seeing an 11% increase in our RASK from last year. And that's a very significant metric, especially when you're this far out, because this will only increase once you have the basis of bookings. You can begin to use a different yield strategy when you get closer to the departure point. When you look at the summer, when the capacity is not increasing as much, we see a dramatic increase in the RASK. This is because our summer network is more established and mature than it has been in the previous years, because of course we are new and the destinations are new. And as soon as we are becoming known in the markets and the market understands our routes and the brand is better known, we're able to increase our prices and basically use a completely different yield strategy. And it's great to see this, and this is something that we are always monitoring, and it's very comforting to see that we are not stunning the market with new capacity, wherein we are able to increase our prices as we increase our capacity. Once again, I'm going to talk about the ancillary revenue, and this is a kind of a similar law of nature in this revenue stream. You can see in quarter 4 last year, we saw a 31% increase in our ancillary revenue from last year. In quarter 1, 2, and quarter 3 already this year, we see quite an a significant increase from last year. And it's important to note that, again, as we get closer to a departure point, the ancillary revenue go up. So a passenger would book maybe a fare or a seat, but then as it gets closer to, or he or she gets closer to departure, they would add a new seat, they would add a new bag, they would do whatever, buy a hotel, buy a car rental or something that comes from the fact that we are getting better at communicating with them and talking to them and offering them this service. So even though this far out we're seeing this increase in revenue, it's going to get bigger and increase more as we get closer to the departure point. Travel agent bookings, something that we are always focusing on also, because Iceland there's a segment of the Icelandic market that is dominated by agents, and it's great to see that we see very, very significant increases in bookings from agents from last year. Agents are working longer term. Some of them are even now booking next summer, next year, or even longer into the future. It takes time to go into the market. You have to earn trust and basically develop their relationships. And our magnificent, I want to say, sales team has done a great job in developing this, and it's great to see that we see this huge increase in bookings from this segment. We reached a huge milestone a few weeks ago now when we launched our stopover product, which we call Stayover, which basically means this is a known concept here in Iceland and actually in many hub and spoke airlines in the world, where passengers can choose to stay up to 10 days in Iceland free of charge in their booking. And this is something that most Americans at least know or mention when you talk about Iceland. They always talk about this because this has been done here for many, many decades. We launched this and our passengers can now book this in our booking engine, and we are already seeing some great results from this. And again, going back to what I said before about dynamic packaging and using data to offer people all kinds of ancillary services, this is a great example of that. Once we know that you're coming, we know the dates that you are staying here, we can begin to offer you hotels, cars, all kinds of things that you will need to buy when you come in Iceland. Go and see the whales, go and see the volcano, whatever you want to do in Iceland. And this is a driver for bookings and also ancillary revenue. We are always developing our network and looking at destinations that are functioning and some of them are not doing as well, and then we cut them down or reduce the capacity there and increase it somewhere else. We added a new destination a few weeks ago, Split in Croatia, which I think was the first scheduled flight between Iceland and Croatia, which is something that we're very proud of. We will take and have the first flight on 28th of May and have even already decided now to extend the season a little bit into the fall, because the reception has been great, both from agents and also from people that want to go for a holiday and a sunny holiday, but also Croatians that want to come to Iceland. So that's a great dynamic and mixture you want to see in a destination. Similarly, we are extending our Malaga service to a year-round destination. Has been a great success for us, and we have one or two new destinations that we keep up our sleeve and we will announce in the coming weeks or so. So in 2024 we will have around 40 destinations, and I think that we have probably the biggest leisure-focused network in the history of Icelandic aviation, I want to say. We are very heavy on basically getting people, Icelandic people, onto their summer vacations and tourists basically to Iceland from those destinations, in a mixture with the flow network, with the VIA network between the US and Europe. The leisure part of the network is really where our low-cost model comes into its own. We have a much lower unit cost than our competition. These are all economy markets and a product, and basically our low cost base, all economy aircraft means that we can offer very, very competitive fares and win massive market share and are very comfortable at a lower price point than our competition. We are also looking into the future and are announcing also now today that we want to move from the Icelandic First North growth market to the Nasdaq Iceland, the main stock market in Iceland. First North market is great for growth companies and smaller companies, but we think that we are now at the stability in our business and our size that we can move to the main market, and want to use that opportunity to strengthen the company, strengthen our equity base, cash position, and basically prepare the company for the next phase of growth. We have hired 3 advisors to help us in that journey. Arctica Finance, Fossar here in Iceland, and then Greenhill, which is an international advisor company, and they will run this together. We will probably raise around 3 to 4 billion Icelandic, 3,000 to 4,000 Icelandic million for this equity increase, and we have in mind to have it finalized around our annual general meeting on the 21st of March. We want to grow. We want to strengthen the company. It's very clear, and the last few months have shown us that external factors are something that we need to take into account, and we basically need a buffer for those fluctuations and some fuel basically to finance our growth. And if we look at how we see the future, we kind of the short-term future, 2024, 2025, we will operate 10 aircraft this year. And this year, like I have sometimes said, is the year that we will optimize the business. We will really turn the screws. We will optimize our revenue, our cost, and basically get stabilized after this massive growth period that we've been in, and we will prepare ourselves for the next phase of growth. We will add capacity in 2025, and we see that we will continue to be very competitive in our ex-fuel CASK. This is something that not only the management team at PLAY is laser focused on, keeping under control, but I'm very proud to say that I can really feel it in all of our employees, the whole group of players. This is a part of our culture, and we are always trying to find new things to make sure that we are lowering our CASK. And if there's someone that has an idea, someone will say that's not really low cost, and the person will know that that's not a good idea. We will continue to see an improvement in our operational results, in our EBIT. We forecast that to be around 0 in 2024 and to be positive in 2025, significantly positive. Similarly with our cash flow, we will continue to see improvements in that this year, and then to have a positive cash flow in 2025. And it's great to see now that in the first weeks of this year, we are basically having record sales week every week, and that means that the cash flow is getting healthy, and we will have a strong year in that regard. If we look a little bit to the long term, and we want to lay out how we see the company looking in 2029, we will operate 18 to 20 aircraft. We will continue to have a very, very competitive ex-fuel CASK. It's all about cost, like I've said a few times already today. If we cannot have the lowest cost, we cannot have the lowest fare. If we don't have the lowest fare, we will not win, and we want to win. EBIT margin will be up at least 10% and above 10%, and we forecast that we will turn over about 750 or so US dollars. And I think that's the kind of future we're heading into, and the reason we want to kind of reinforce our coffers in the coming weeks and months. It's important to note that going back to our equity increase, this is a strategic thing. There is no immediately or an urgent situation. We just need something to have a buffer and fuel future aircraft acquisitions. Having said that, just to sum it up, so we're basically closing a year of massive growth, where we doubled our capacity, doubled our revenue, and see our EBIT performance improve very significantly. We are extremely proud and continue to be focused on our cost base. And again, I want to say that it went down 6% year on year, in a year where we see a lot of inflation, a lot of general pressure on price increases. That's a real achievement for us. We're going into a fourth summer, and we see higher revenue and basically growing ancillary yield. And this is something that we just simply need to continue and have I have full confidence that we will see that continue even more. And like I said, we will strengthen our financial position and move on to the main market here in Iceland. I want to encourage you to send questions to ir@flyplay.com, and we will, as we have done, answer them and put written answers on our website. Thank you very much.